This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenia may tighten the requirements for ethnic Armenians living abroad who want to obtain Armenian citizenship. Radio Azatutyun, RFERL's Armenian service, reports that Deputy Interior Minister Armen Ghazaryan says the government is preparing legislative changes after a sharp increase in citizenship applications. More than 32,000 applications were received in 2025, a record for Armenia. Ghazaryan said most applicants were ethnic Armenians from Russia and suggested that some are seeking Armenian citizenship primarily to get around travel restrictions imposed on Russian citizens by Western countries following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Prior to it, Armenian citizenship applications averaged around 7,000 per year. Under current law, most foreigners must live in Armenia for at least 3 years, speak Armenian, and have knowledge of the constitution to qualify for citizenship. Ethnic Armenians from the diaspora are exempt from those requirements. Ghazaryan said the government will soon present amendments aimed at addressing what he described as a problem. The issue has been raised before. In 2022, Armenia's National Security Service proposed requiring diaspora Armenians seeking fast-track citizenship to spend at least 60 days in Armenia over a 2-year period. That proposal never reached parliament. Armenia's new universal health insurance system is seeing higher than expected demand for medical care among working-age employees and the self-employed, revealing health problems that many people had put off treating. The Universal Health Insurance Fund had expected employed people and individual entrepreneurs to use fewer medical services than other groups, since they were thought to be more able to afford healthcare on their own. But early data has challenged that assumption. Fund officials say many workers had accumulated health problems that went untreated because of the cost. Armenia launched its universal health system in January as part of a phased reform aimed at expanding access to healthcare and reducing the amount patients pay directly. Officials say demand could eventually moderate as people address health problems that had accumulated before the insurance system was introduced. They estimate that 60 to 70% of those previously accumulated health problems among people already covered have been addressed during the system's initial months. The government expects spending on the program to reach about $575 million this year. The unexpectedly strong demand among workers is providing an early indication of just how much healthcare had been deferred because of cost. Every weekend, CivilNet brings you a roundup of Armenia's biggest business headlines. This week, we covered the launch of Firebird's $500 million data center in Armenia, marking the first phase of a project that the company says could ultimately involve $4 billion in investment in the country. The facility uses a closed-loop cooling system which recirculates distilled water rather than continuously consuming the regular water supply. While water should not be an issue, Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has announced that a new national energy policy is needed to keep up with the facility's massive electricity demand. For more details, check out the episode in this video's description. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 210,000. That's the estimated volume, in metric tons, of Armenia's grape harvest this year, which kicked off yesterday with the ancient Blessing of the Grapes service. This would match last year's record-setting harvest, which was a dramatic 25% increase from the previous year. However, this year's season faces a major obstacle: Russia's sudden ban on Armenian grape and alcohol imports. Growers fear they will not have buyers for their crop, as local winery warehouses remain completely full of liquid stock from last year's harvest. What's more, 95% of vineyards are small family farms, meaning they lack the financial safety nets of large corporations and are highly vulnerable to being completely wiped out by a single difficult year. The Armenian government has deployed an emergency fund and is subsidizing farmers' loans to try to keep the industry afloat. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.